What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is Why Him? Why Him is a comedy film that was directed and co-written by John Hamburg and primarily accounts the Fleming family Christmas as they travel to California to reunite with the eldest Fleming daughter Stephanie, played by Zoey Deutch, and her new boyfriend Laird, played by James Franco. Once the Flemings arrive at Laird's estate, they quickly realize that he's not quite your typical run-of-the-mill boyfriend, and he's much more unusual than expected. Eventually Laird asks Stephanie's father Ned, played by Bryan Cranston, for his blessing because he wants to ask Stephanie to marry him. Extremely disapproving of Laird in general, Ned refuses to give his blessing, and the rest of the film is spent watching Laird attempt to win over Ned and the rest of the Fleming family as craziness ensues on the Laird Mayhew estate in California for the holiday season. Okay, so I'm sort of torn on this one because while I did kind of enjoy the experience due to the fact there's a ton of really hilarious scenes in this movie, there are some flaws that are really difficult to overlook as well. I think that whether you're going to enjoy Why Him or not is entirely dependent on what you're looking to get out of it, because what this film actually feels like is a bunch of individual scenes that resemble comedy sketches edited down into the format of a film. Sometimes the scenes connect and build on one another, and sometimes they serve seemingly no purpose towards progressing the story in any significant way. And while I don't think any of us are really going into Why Him expecting like the best cinematic experience of all time or anything, I still think a lot of moviegoers are going to want to see a story that makes sense with scenes that build on one another. The formula for Why Him is definitely a familiar one because anyone who's seen Meet the Parents before will likely be able to see how this one's going to play out from a mile away. I will however say that while this film is predictable and pretty formulaic, it is at least trying to offer something a little bit different to this type of film, and that's mostly present in the brand of comedy. Now if you're not a fan of raunchy humor, then this movie is 100% not for you because a lot of the jokes have to do with toilet humor or dicks and balls and sex or something else along those lines. This is definitely not one of those feel-good comedies like Meet the Parents where you get sort of a family-friendly brand of humor. It's definitely not that. Now for me personally, I mostly enjoyed Why Him's brand of humor because I think that while it certainly has plenty of misfires, it also delivers some scenes that are absolutely hysterical. Everyone in the theater that I was in were laughing their asses off at some of these scenes because they're so over-the-top ridiculous, but in a way that's silly and very fun. But like I said, there are certainly plenty of jokes that fall flat as well, and I think that's partly due to how restrained almost all of the characters are besides a few. I think James Franco is given the most opportunity to shine here simply because of how eccentric and unusual his character is. He cusses a lot, he literally has no filter, and because of this, he's the funniest and most interesting character. The character that I was most disappointed with was Bryan Cranston's. The problem with Ned is that he's the most generic and forgettable character you could possibly have. He's just the uptight dad who doesn't do much that's all that interesting, and more importantly, he gets very few chances to shine comedically. I don't know if I've told you guys this before, but Bryan Cranston is one of my favorite actors, period. If you followed his career, then you know that he has a ton of comedic ability, and I think personally I felt very let down by how forgettable his character was in this movie. I think anyone could have played this role, but since Bryan Cranston was cast, I feel like he should have been given more of an opportunity to be funny like most of the other characters got. He delivers a good performance, but the character himself is just pretty bland, sadly. Two characters who I thought were given much more of an opportunity to shine are the mother Barb, played by Mullally, and Laird's estate manager Gustav, played by Keegan-Michael Key. These two were both given a handful of scenes where they each contributed mightily to the film's overall comedic output. I was definitely impressed by the work of these two. But one last thing I want to discuss is how this film closes out the story. I think the ending is sort of a mixed bag like the rest of the film because it is formulaic, but at the same time it's also unique in a way because it reaches its destination a little bit differently than the norm. I will say that while it does a pretty good job, like the rest of the film, the characters will make decisions that seem sort of like forced writing decisions instead of natural ones. That's as much as I'll say though, for risk of, spoiler territory. But overall, I think Why Him is an enjoyable movie experience for the right audience. I thought it had a silly and fun story with some absolutely hysterical scenes, some very strong comedic acting performances, and a somewhat unique and uplifting ending. I will say that I also felt a lot of the characters were generic and forgettable. There are several jokes or scenes that fall completely flat and drag on too long, and some of the writing choices feel disjointed and forced. I'm gonna give Why Him a 7 out of 10 and generally recommend that you see this one in theaters only if you love raunchy humor and you're in it for good laughs and not for a well-rounded film. So did you guys see Why Him yet? What did you think of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if not, let me know whether you'd be interested in watching this film or not. And as always, if you like this video, click that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for much more content like this. The last thing I want to let you guys know is that I'm currently planning my best movies of the year video, but it might not be out for a couple weeks or so because I feel like I haven't had the opportunity to see every film that I need to see yet, set to effectively complete the video. I haven't seen Moonlight or A Monster Calls and a few others that I need to see before I can make the video. I'll make sure to keep you guys posted though for sure. That's all for now though. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next video.